Welcome back to our interview with Paul Gorman of Beaufort Planning. We are talking about divorce and pensions. And we've talked, in part one, you will see what we've talked about. But one question that I had for you, Paul, I have others as well, not just one, is when is pension sharing not an option? Is there a moment where it's just, it cannot be touched?
I think when it comes to looking at pensions during divorce, I think pension assets need to be considered along with any other assets that may be there. There may be certain instances where sharing pension benefits may not be the best solution or may not be appropriate.
All right.
I can perhaps give you a couple of examples. Maybe if the pensions are of small value,
okay,
and possibly of similar value, it may be cost prohibitive to go for the process of doing a pension report or an actuarial report and then paying for the work involved in implementing a sharing order. That may be very costly compared to the value of the pension fund.
Okay.
So with small pensions and whether of similar value, it might not be advisable. At the other end of the spectrum, there may be a situation where the actual pension scheme is quite complicated, quite complex.
All right.
I'm thinking there of certain types of schemes, what are referred to as small self-administered schemes or self-invested personal pensions. They can be particularly complicated structures, especially where there are assets in there like commercial property,
okay,
and maybe a number of different members involved.
All right. Okay.
So if you've got complex type of arrangements,
okay,
it may be inadvisable to go down the sharing route. It may be more appropriate to look at offsetting rather than sharing.
Okay. Can you explain offsetting, Paul?
Yeah. By offsetting, what I mean is that instead of pensions being shared, then one party receives a bigger value or a bigger percentage of the family assets to offset the fact that they're not receiving a share of the pension.
Okay.
So that may be an alternative that may be appropriate. There is also another way to apportion pensions on divorce other than sharing, and the alternative option is what's called an attachment order.
Oh yes.
Now, attachment orders are not used very often because they are complicated, and so it's quite unusual for family lawyers to use attachment orders, but they do sometimes have their place. For example, if it's a case of securing ongoing maintenance, that may be an appropriate way to do it. And an attachment order is different to a sharing order.
Yeah.
And a sharing order is a bit like a clean split. Yeah. An attachment order is a situation where the actual income is divided at retirement between the parties. Okay, nothing is divided. Nothing is divided on divorce.
Nothing is done before.
Nothing is done before. It's divided at retirement.
Okay.
So that can be fraught with issues and complications.
Yeah.
But it's useful in certain instances.
Okay.
But it's not used very often.
Yeah.
So there are alternatives to sharing.
If you go down through the attachment order, then you can't really have a clean break, can you?
No.
You can't,
exactly.
Because there's still something pending to be dealt with.
There's still something linking you together, isn't there? Which is that pension. Yeah.
Now, when you're going through the divorce and you have you reach that point where you're going to talk about the pension sharing, and you know that it's going to happen, and of course you have to speak to the pension companies and so forth. Is there a cost attached to that process?
To implement a sharing order?
Yeah.
Okay. It depends on the nature of the pension scheme.
Okay.
Okay. To keep it relatively straightforward, you've got two broad types of schemes. You've got what are referred to as final salary pension schemes, or sometimes referred to as defined benefit pension schemes. And then you've got money purchase pension schemes or personal pension type of arrangements. Now, most scheme administrators who administer personal pension type of arrangements, for their implementation work, they normally won't levy a fee for that work. If it's a final salary scheme, then typically the trustees of the scheme administrators will levy a charge.
Okay.
A lot of the public sector schemes levy a charge. I can give an example. NHS pension scheme, the scheme administrators there will charge just short of £3,000 for implementing a pension share.
Okay. All
What
right.
money?
Yes. It is. I've just gone.
I struggled to find out how they come to that number.
Yes, I didn't expect it to be anything like that. In fact, I thought they would probably attach the cost to probably the value of the pension, not just a clean...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, a lot of final salary schemes will levy fees, and certainly the public sector schemes will levy quite high fees for implementing a sharing order.
Okay. All right. Wow.
I mean, I guess in addition to that, I guess people also need to be mindful of the work that may need to be done by, for example, an advisor in the advisory process, or the work that a family lawyer might do in helping them with the implementation.
Yes.
But those numbers are just what the pension schemes would charge.
Yeah. Now, we've had quite a bit of talk recently. I think it was about April or so when, the whole prenups issue came about again. And the changes, I think they're going to try and make them more legally binding, because at the moment prenuptials are not legally binding as such. Now, if I were to remarry and we were talking about prenuptials, can you actually attach pensions and say, can that come into the prenuptial agreement and say, yeah, it can?
Yes, they can.
Yeah.
My understanding is yes, they can. Like any other asset.
Any other asset, yeah.
That you wish to place into that agreement.
Yeah. Then
pension benefits, pension assets can be included in that agreement. Is my understanding? Yes.
Okay, and so once you do that, you cannot revisit it again. No, I mean, now I'm not sure if you can so much, but once all the changes come in place, so you can't revisit the prenuptials again. I mean, the pensions again. So you can't have an attachment order, you can't offset, it would be whatever is in the prenuptial agreement.
I guess the purpose of the agreement would be to put in place what would happen in the event of divorce, wouldn't it?
That's right, yeah.
You are not actually doing any sharing or input at that point.
At that point, yeah.
You do that at the point of divorce. So whatever was in the prenuptial agreement would then kick in.
Yeah.
And you would follow what was agreed at that point in time.
Okay, all right. Let me just have a quick look at my questions here, Paul, just to see if there's something that I have missed out upon. We've looked at the pensioners and pension sharing when it's in receipt and the cost. Just one last question. I'm not sure how good a question this is, but it's just one that came to mind at the last moment, where I was asking about pension sharing. When you're going through the pension sharing and divorce, if it has any link, or if it can be linked to the age of the children, or any attached, can it be attached to the children whatsoever?
No, it has to be, in terms of the sharing order, has to be shared between the couples who are divorcing or dissolving a civil partnership. You can't share and pass the asset on to anybody else. Okay,
so I can't say, well, you can have part of my pension, but it only goes to the children when they turn 18, for example. No. Okay. No. All right. Okay.
What you could do is you could arrange for a pension sharing order, and then the spouse who is in receipt of that order, if they then wish to nominate the children as the beneficiaries of that pension scheme in the event of death, for example.
Yes.
Then you can write that into the new pension arrangement, but the owner
Okay.
of the assets is the spouse who has received the sharing order.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've just thought about this one. What about couples that have lived together and are not married? They've been together for 16 years, 17 years, and then they're separating and they've got children.
There's nothing that you can do there.
Oh, really?
Because you mean just sort of common law?
Yes.
No, there's no rule that allows sharing to take place.
Oh, wow. Okay. Important.
Yeah,
important for people to know that.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Did you also want to know about the time it takes to implement?
Yes, please. Yes, yeah.
Okay. So once a sharing order has been agreed and decree absolute has been
granted,
processed, then typically there's a 28-day period for an appeal.
All right.
After that 28-day period has elapsed, then you move into what's called an implementation period.
Okay.
So that is a 4-month period.
All right.
Where the scheme administrators of the particular pension have got 4 months to implement the sharing order.
Yeah.
Okay, so effectively, once everything's been agreed, once the sharing order has been ratified and decree absolute has been agreed, there's a 4-month time period where the scheme administrators have to implement the sharing order.
Okay.
So it can happen quite quickly, or it can take up to 4 months.
Okay, all right. So up to 4 months for everything to be okay. All right. Well, I guess if a divorce takes ages, 4 months doesn't seem that long. In the end, it's like, okay, I know that's like 4 weeks. Paul, if anybody wanted to get in touch with you, to get some advice and just to speak with you about pensions and any financial issues they might be having with their divorce, how can they do that?
Okay, perhaps I can give you two methods. Either they can email me.
Okay, don't give us your phone number because we're going to put it on YouTube, but go ahead.
Okay, all right. Okay, do you want my email then?
Yes, email's fine.
Okay, my email is pgorman@beaufortplanning.co.uk.
Okay.
And Beaufort is Beaufort.
Okay, all right. And that will be on the website anyway, where I'll put this, and also your website, details will be on there.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Paul.
Pleasure, no problem.
Thank you very much, and I'm sure I'll be calling up on you again to get some more, interviews on financial issues and divorce.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thank you. Bye bye.